Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Breaking Yarn podcast. Today is Saturday, February 20th, 2021. My name is McKaylee. I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm a crocheter, knitter, and yarn dyer. You can find me online basically anywhere at Breaking Yarn and at breakingyarn.com. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is what I'm wearing today. This is my brioche delicious shawl. This is by Andrea Mowry, and I just have it worn kind of more like a scarf or a cowl today. And the main color on here is Marie Schrader, and that was in my quarter round fingering base. And then the lime green color is a color that I dyed on my blog as a tutorial. It's not a color that I currently have available in my shop or anything. And then there's another color in here that's this like green and blue variant as my opposite color or contrasting color, I guess. And I got that at yarn, what's it called? Tempe Yarn and Fiber in Tempe, Arizona, when I was visiting my parents a couple of years ago. And I don't remember what the colorway is or the brand, to be honest. I did not know that I should be paying attention to those things at that time, so I apologize for that. But it is what it is. It's super squishy and warm, and I love the colors. And if you're wanting to learn how to do brioche, this is a very good first brioche project because you only have to know how to do straight brioche and also increases on the sides. So it's fairly easy. There's no decreases, and the increases are really simple. So this is a good first brioche project if you want to try brioche. Okay, so my first and only finished object this week is my honey striped hat. This is a pattern by Stephen West of West Knits. And I cannot figure out if I want to add a pom-pom to it or not, or if I want to just leave it the way it is. I kind of like the way it is, which is why I'm hesitant to do it. Let me tell you, so this main color that I used is my Swish DK base in the colorway Jane Margolis, and the contrasting color that I used is by Teresa Fuzzy Whatnots. It's on her Fuzzy DK base, and it's called A Safe Space. That's what the colorway name is. And this is a really fun pattern to knit. It's just knits, purls, and slips. So if you know how to do those 3 stitches, or if you are wanting to learn those 3 stitches, this is a good one for that. I really like the way that it fits. It's like cheesiness here, but it has this folded over brim, so you can kind of get it. It's like perfect to fit like over your ears too, so I really like that. But what do you think? Should I add a pom to the top of it or not? I don't know. The problem is that I'm having is I don't want to waste the yarn, because I know with poms you obviously have to cut it to make a pom, and what if I don't like it? Then I just cut up beautiful hand-dyed yarn. So I don't know. What do you think? Maybe I should do fur then instead. But so that's that. That's my first and only finished object for this episode. But I'm happy to have this done and off my needles and able to wear. So that's fun. The first work in progress that I have is in a bag by Stolen Minutes. This is by Carrie of Stolen Minutes. Let's see. It's a cute flower pattern. I'm not really too familiar with what type of flower it is, but it has pinks and lime greens, and on the inside it's lined black and white stripes, which I just love. It's totally my jam. And it also has a stitch marker holder on the inside, which is very handy, so you don't have to carry around a separate notions pouch or anything like that. So the yarn that I'm using for this project is this yarn that I dyed. I got it from Knit Picks when it was on sale as a bare yarn. And then I dyed it with cherry Kool-Aid. And I actually did a tutorial for how I dyed the yarn on my blog, and I'll link that down below. This one is dyed with black cherry and 1 pouch of grape. And then this one was dyed completely with grape. So these are a great affordable way to knit a garment. I just wanted to show that it is possible to do it on a budget. All 3 of these together, I got them for $5 each, and then the Kool-Aid, I believe it cost me about $1.50 per skein, so not too bad, under $20 for all 3, and I'll get a knit top out of it for the summer. This is their fingering weight base, and it's on, it's called Precosa, I believe, or Precoisa, I'm not sure how to say it. It's 100% merino wool. It's not superwash, but I don't really wash my knits in the machine anyways, so I don't think that will be a big deal. But I'm gonna do a fade like that. So it'll be this cherry one, then this black cherry, and then grape, and I'm just gonna fade them together in the design. And the design I'm doing, and I'm using my ChowGoo red lace interchangeable needles, which is very helpful because you do need to switch your cable lengths. I just switched it last night to a larger one, and it's still pretty squished, so I may actually switch it to a larger one. So the interchangeable set is really nice for that, because you can just twist them off, put on a different one. It's pretty easy. But the pattern I'm doing, let me see if you can see this. It's called Summer Trellis, and it's by Jill of Knitterella on Instagram. So I am through the first chart for this diamond, and I'm working on the second chart. I don't know if you can see it. I have just a little bit of my larger diamonds going. And you will notice I have a few lifelines placed. There's one right here, and there's one at the end of the chart 1. I did that because I made a mistake on chart 1 and had to rip back, and it's just a lot more time consuming to have to count your stitches, how many down you are, and then place it after the fact. So I actually figured out how, after I made the mistake and I ripped back, I figured out how to add a lifeline while I'm knitting with these needles so that I don't have to sit there and thread it through after the fact or separately. So I added another lifeline right before I started the second chart, just in case I messed it up and I would have to go back. I didn't want to have to rip again. Save myself a little bit of time, you know. But this is it's fun. It's a fun pattern. It's engaging. It's very busy, so you have to pay attention and count a lot. But I'm really enjoying the yoke of it. And it started with a provisional cast on, which I have never done before. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of small, but I think at the end you go back and do the neckline. So that'll be interesting. So this is my first provisional cast on, and of course I used a scrap of Breaking Violet because I wanted it to be fun. So there's that. My plan for the fade, you're probably wondering, is I'm going to do the entire yoke in this red color, and then I'm gonna after the yoke I'll fade in this next color, which is the black cherry one, and then at the very end, so at the very bottom of the sweater or the top, summer top, will be the grape. So I'm really excited to see how those all play together, and I think that fading the colors together will also add an extra element of excitement. And if it's just basic stockinette stitch, I tend to get a little bored of just straight knitting, and I know some people might like, you know, be like, what? Like, how could you hate that? Like, I don't hate it, but I just get a little bored. And I think that's part of the reason why I haven't been, up to this point, a good sock knitter, because I get bored. And I get bored just knitting and knitting and knitting and not having any kind of variation or having any kind of like thing to work forward to, like, oh, just one more row, one more row, one more row. So that's why I'm excited to fade them together, because then I can go, okay, now I need to do one stripe of this and one stripe of that, and then go back and then fade straight into the other color. So I'm thinking it'll add a little bit of variety into the stockinette that will make it a little bit more exciting for me. And the one more row thing just reminded me that, have you seen the new podcast, The Crazy Sock Lady? Kay from The Crazy Sock Lady and Carrie from Stolen Minutes started a new podcast called the One More Row Podcast. I couldn't even believe it. I was so excited. I watched it right away. Yeah, it's really good. So check that out, and I hope to see them online more. Oh, and the other thing I forgot. Okay, so now that I'm here where I'm at, so that I can keep track of how much progress I'm making between this episode and the next one, I'm going to add a progress keeper. I don't know if you can see that. These, I used to have a lot of these earrings, and I just don't wear them much anymore. And so instead of just getting rid of them, I changed it to this lever back, so that I can easily clip it into my yarn, and now it's a progress keeper. So you can't go wrong there. All right, so I'm gonna clip this in, and then next episode, there we go. So now it's on there. Next episode, we'll be able to see how much progress I made between this episode and last episode. Okay, so that's that. My second work in progress that I have is not very far along. I am starting a new cowl design. This cowl, this is like so small. You're gonna be like, what am I even looking at right now? But I had to start it a few times, which is why it's so small still. But this cowl design has been in my head for the better part of 2 years. And so I am attempting to get it out of my head. Now that I've kind of gotten my feet wet a little bit with design work, I feel like that's a little bit more doable. It is kind of an intimidating, I don't know, ambition? I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's a little intimidating to me because I'm so new at all that stuff. But I'm using Jane Margolis, and I'm using a new unreleased colorway, Holly White. These are 50 grams actually, and they're in a DK base that is 100% superwash merino. I am designing the cowl in these so that I can put up kits that are 50 grams instead of 100 grams, and being like, you can knit 2 of them. So that's my intention with it. We'll see how it goes. I'm all tangled up here, but we'll see how it goes. I also put out a call on my email list to have some people test this yarn to see if it would be enough for the Lines and Vines cowl, so that I can potentially put those kits up in the shop as well. So I have 3 people who so graciously are volunteering their time. I provided them the yarn and the pattern for free, and they're gonna knit it up for me and let me know Was it a game of yarn chicken? Or did you have enough? Did you have a lot still? Like, you know, I try to overestimate a little bit, like you need 50 grams, but when I knit my sample, I don't have it down here. I still had like 14 grams and 10 grams left after knitting 2 of them out of 100 grams. In the cowl weighs on its own, I believe 91 grams. So theoretically, it should work to have the 2 50-gram skeins. However, I noticed that the yardage on these for half, like for 50 grams, it's like a little less than 100 grams of my Swish DK base. So that part is making me a little nervous. The yardage is a little bit different. So they're doing a test. I will let you know how it goes. If it goes well, I'll put kits in the shop for the Lines and Vines cowl and also for this new design, assuming I can get it done before it gets too warm. Let's see. The last thing I wanted to share with you today is that I created a Ravelry group for this podcast, and I'll link that down below. But if you want to join the group and you knit any projects out of breaking yarn, you can post your projects in there for everyone to see. And also, I want to be able to feature or spotlight some of the creators on the podcast. So this week, I have a new one to share with you. It is this gorgeous sweater. It's crocheted, actually, by Courtney Shay. She is Shay Crochet, Shay_crochet on Instagram. She crocheted this beautiful sweater. It's called the Viola Raglan sweater, and the designer is Courtney A. Clark, or she's I Love Tinderbox on Instagram. And Courtney used 4 skeins of the worsted weight in Swish, and the colorway is gray matter. So I just loved this sweater. I thought it was so pretty, and I can't wait to share it with you. Courtney is so sweet. She has test knit the Lines and Vines shawl for me and the Lines and Vines cowl. So she's worked with me a few times, and I just love this sweater. When it popped up in the group, I couldn't wait to share it with you. So go check her out, give her a follow on Instagram if you aren't following her already. She is a wonderful test knitter, or test crocheter, test knitter. She's knit for me, but she crochets mostly, and she makes beautiful little things. So please give her a follow if you will. A little bit of shop news. I have had a very hard time getting inventory for my Swish Worsted base. So I've kind of been keeping my worsted weight inventory levels pretty low. And I just recently got, like just the other day, I just got more yarn. So I have a bunch of yarn to dye up. So I'm going to be working really hard on getting a restock going for worsted weight. Also, like, fill in any of the gaps are there for DK and for the quarter round fingering. I'm just trying to find a balance between dyeing up a restock of my inventory, but also like introducing new colorways and designs, and just trying to, you know, all the things, right? Work my regular job, and then I'm a mom, so it's a lot sometimes, but I'm trying to find that balance. That's partly why I'm doing these episodes every 2 weeks instead of every week. I want to have finished objects to show that I don't think I would every week, but also give me time to do the other things that I do need to do. And, you know, my weekends are busy, and I try to be as productive as possible. Thank you so much for joining me today on episode 3 of the Breaking Yarn podcast. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.